Today on Iron Toots Gaming, Marines who work in space take on gross-ass space bugs in our first battle report for Toybox Wars. Stick around. Welcome to Iron Toots Gaming. I'm your host, the Iron Toots. Today we're going to continue our exploration into the exciting world of Toybox Wars, our play anything, anywhere, at any scale strategy wargame. In our last video, we covered the game piece creation rules, base defining distances, and the scale table. We strongly recommend watching that video before this one, as many of the concepts covered there pertain to what we'll cover here. There's a link to the first video in the description below. Today, we're going to explore the combat system by playing through a relatively small game. As we discussed last time, before playing a game of Toybox Wars, players will need to agree on both the game's points cost and a base defining distance for the game. Today's game will be a 250 point game played at 1-inch BDD. One army will feature Marines who work in space, who live in an unhappy, poorly lit tomorrow where everyone fights all the time. The Marines will be facing off against gross-ass space bugs, along with regular human soldiers who the bugs have mind-controlled into doing their bidding, their gross-ass bidding. Players could just plop their armies on the table to battle it out like a bunch of soccer hooligans, but Toybox Wars contains several scenarios with defined deployment zones and victory conditions. Today, we will be playing the Protect the Thing scenario, which can be found in the rulebook. Two armies are fighting over the thing, in this case, the opening leading to the gross-ass space bugs' equally gross-ass nest. They have divided their forces into subgroups. One side's sections have spread out to find the nest, the other to draw off the attackers. One division of the defending force is left to guard the gross-ass opening when a section from the attacking side stumbles across their location. The fight is on, with reinforcements from both sides arriving on later turns to assist. The gross-ass nest opening acts as a piece of critical terrain. Any game piece within 1 BDV of the terrain is considered laying claim to it. At the end of the game, we'll total up the points cost of all units laying claim to the piece of critical terrain. With our scenario selected, it's time to place our game pieces and start the game. Or is it? Almanac! In addition to containing fabulous scenarios, Toybox Wars also contains several complications, which can be added to those scenarios. Complications which make achieving the victory conditions all the more complicated. Fast draw? Yes, sir. You're off writing duties. Oh man. For this demonstration, we will add the complication hostile flora and fauna from the rulebook. Hostile flora and fauna represent independent game pieces which are not part of any player's army and are hostile to both sides. They attack any game piece on the board which is not one of them. They show up at the end of each turn after all players have activated their game pieces. Roll a d6 for each hostile flora and fauna deployment zone. On a 6, a unit arrives. For this scenario, we will be using these dinosaurs. They show up in units equal to 10% of each army's total points cost, which in this case is 25 points. They have been built using the same rules as any other game piece in Toybox Wars. Costing 13 points per dinosaur, each unit will consist of 2 of these prehistoric terrors. The hostile flora and fauna complication does not alter the beginning of any scenario it attaches to. According to the Protect the Thing scenario, the defending player chooses a unit to place in the defender's deployment zone. They choose this unit of 3 machine gunners and 4 riflemen. These riflemen represent some of the cheapest and simplest troops which can be built in Toybox Wars, with an upright movement ability and an unenhanced ranged attack. The machine gun troops are more impressive, with a 2-die attack, extra range 1, and rapid fire. They end up costing the same as the basic riflemen due to the move or fire disadvantage on their ranged attack. The Marine player selects a 4-man squad of basic Marines who work in space as the squad to initially discover the gross-ass space bugs' gross-ass nest opening. The basic Marine who works in space is still a formidable combatant. They have a basic rifle which shoots as far and hits as hard as the human trooper's machine gun. They are also protected with extra armor level 1, forcing opponents to reduce rolls to damage them by 1 point. The Marine player rolls a 3 for deployment, placing their squad on the left edge of the board. Now that all of our game pieces are placed, our next step is to determine who goes first. Toy Box Wars uses a form of alternate activation, with each army rolling a d6 for each unactivated unit. Sum the values rolled, with the highest rolling side activating one game piece or unit. Roll an additional d6 to break any ties. At the beginning of the turn, each player should count up all the game pieces which they can activate during the upcoming turn. Count up all the game pieces on the board, treating a unit as a single game piece for this purpose. This number is the player's force manure, a legal term which translates to crap which is going to do stuff in-game. Note this number down. Before rolling the first initiative, each side divides their opponent's force manure into their own to determine their force advantage, rounding up any fractions. For example, both armies at the beginning of this game have a force advantage of 1. Force advantage becomes important when one player gets multiple activations in a row. With only 2 units on the board, this isn't going to happen. But when more units start showing up, force advantage will become a factor in the game. The machine gun squad rolls a 3, and the Marines roll a 2. The machine gun squad wins the initiative and activates first. An activated game piece can take a move action and a tactical action. A movement action allows a game piece to move. A tactical action allows a game piece to move again in the same turn, attack its enemies, or perform a mix of both. Toy Box Wars contains a full description of movement and tactical actions in the rulebook. The machine gun squad forgoes its move action so that the machine gun troopers can fire. A game piece in Toy Box Wars can make a direct attack against any other game piece within range of its attack ability, so long as the attacking game piece can draw a line of sight to its target. There is no hit roll, simply roll for damage. Only 2 of the machine guns are in range, and they have to fire through woods to hit their target, which counts as cover. Cover provides protection to game pieces by allowing them to subtract 1 from rolls made to damage them, but it only works half the time. A game piece which is behind cover rolls a d6 and gets the benefit of cover on a 4+. The Marines roll a 6, gaining the benefit. Attacking in Toy Box Wars is rather simple. Roll the total number of dice for the attack, applying any modifiers to each die rolled. A roll of 4 or more does 1 point of damage. The troopers roll a 3, a 4, and 2 5s. We subtract 1 from these rolls for the cover, and another 1 for the Marines' extra armor level 1. The final rolls become a 1, a 2, and 2 3s. No damage is done. The Marines act next. They choose to move and fire, moving through the woods, reducing their movement by half. Unable to reach the edge of the woods, the Marines end up firing through them, giving the troopers a potential cover bonus. The troopers roll 2 for their cover roll, gain nothing. All of the Marines are in range with their 2 die range attacks, and thus roll 10 attack dice. You heard me right, 4 Marines, 10 attack dice. One of the advantages of running game pieces and units in Toy Box Wars is the ability to group fire. For every 4 game pieces making the same attack in the unit gains an additional attack, representing the weight of fire or the fury of violence coming from the unit. The Marines roll their 10 attack dice and score 6 damage. The bug player removes all but 1 of the machine guns. Another advantage of running game pieces and units is that although the attacker chooses who to target, the defender chooses how to allocate the damage. The bug player chooses to keep a machine gun trooper handy, hoping to be able to fire next turn. With both sides having activated all their units, the first turn ends. Or does it? Almanac again! Rolling a d6 for each table edge. A 6 is rolled for location 4. 2 hungry dinosaurs enter from that edge. Double moving, they head towards the nearest target, the lone machine gun trooper still guarding the objective. At the beginning of turn 2, the Marine player rolls to bring in another 4-man squad. Needing a 4+, they only roll a 2. The bug player rolls to bring in their missile launcher squad. Also needing a 4 or higher, they get it with a 5. The missile trooper fires a powerful 4-die ranged attack with a burst effect. The missile also has the tank buster advantage, allowing it to ignore 2 points of size advantage from the target's defense. The squad has 2 such troopers and 1 rifleman, mostly there for cannon fire. Dude, I'm right here! The missile launcher squad enters the board on deployment zone 2, a perfect spot to deal with those dinosaurs. With all units placed, the players roll off to see who goes first. With each side rolling a 3, they then roll off a tiebreaker dice, and the bug troopers have the initiative. The missile launcher squad is going to activate first. They're going to split their fire, launching 1 missile and a rifle at the dinosaurs, and the other missile at the Marines. A game piece/unit must declare all attacks before resolving any of them. The first missile is fired through cover and strikes near 2 of the Marines. Using a scatter object and a dice roll, in this case a coin with a line drawn through it, the scatter distance is determined. A 3 is rolled, so the blast scatters 1 BDD and still hits the 2 Marines. A direct fire burst attack scatters 1 BDD on a roll of 1, 2, or 3, 1/2 the game's BDD on a roll of 4 or 5, and does not scatter on a roll of 6. Game pieces can still benefit from cover from burst attacks in Toy Box Wars if there is cover between the burst damage point origin and the game piece. The Marines are not so lucky this time, rolling a 1 for their cover roll. The Missile Launcher Trooper rolls 5 dice, 4 for the missile's damage, and 1 extra dice for a second target under the blast radius, and rolls 2 modified 4s and a 5. The Marines really could have used that cover bonus. Instead, they're going to lose 3 of their number. 2 under the template must be removed, with the Marine player choosing the 3rd. The rifle is out of range, but the second missile lands amongst the dinosaurs, scattering with a scatter roll of 2 to catch 1 dino, but not the other. Rolling 4 dice, needing 5s. 1 6 is enough to kill 1 dinosaur, but not both. A second initiative roll is made, with the bugs winning again. The lone machine gunner is caught between a rock and a hard place. Deciding to be a team player, he targets the Marine who works in space. The Marine makes his cover save, and the machine gun ends up rolling a modified 1 and a 2 for damage. Advancing to the end of the woods, the Marine fires on the machine gunner, but a 1 and a 3 aren't enough. End of turn sees not 1, not 2, but 3 6s rolled, resulting in 6 dinosaurs, arriving in zones 2, 4, and 5. The dinos in zone 5 move towards the tasty-looking Marine. The second group of dinos arrive from zone 4, making it to the point the first dinos made it to. The third group comes in on top of the bug missile team. They can't arrive directly on top of them, but must arrive at least 3 BD away from the unit, which does allow them to double move and make it into close combat. Circling around another game piece would provoke a reaction attack, but none of these troops have melee attacks, so it's a non-issue. Rolling 4 attack dice results in a 5 and a 6, resulting in the death of the sacrificial rifleman, "This is BS, man," and one of the missile launcher soldiers. The remaining dino charges in on the last machine gunner and takes him down with a 6. At the end of turn 2, each player has only 1 game piece remaining, and with 7 dinosaurs on the board, the game is looking like a failed in-gen amusement park. Which one? Take your pick. At the beginning of turn 3, the Marine player rolls for the 4-man squad again, needing a 3+ this time, and getting it. The bug player decides to get serious, and rolls to deploy the squad of gross-ass space bugs, also needing a 3+, and also getting it. The gross-ass space bugs are a unit of 3 size category 2 insects. They have 2 claw attacks with fearsome charge, and a short-range, gross-ass acid-spitting attack. As size category 2 game pieces, they have 4 hit points each. The Marine player rolls a 3 again, and deploys the second 4-man squad in the same location as the first. The gross-ass space bugs roll a 6, deploying them on the other side of the board. Each side has a force maneuver of 2, granting them a force advantage of 1. They roll 2 dice for initiative. The Marines roll a 10, and the bugs roll a 9. The Marines go first. The Marine player decides to activate the 4-man Marine squad, who decides to make a move action and an advance action for their tactical action. An advance action allows a game piece to move 1/2 their movement rating and still make 1 ranged attack. A unit of game pieces can still make 1 ranged attack per game piece while making an advance action. The Marines roll 10 dice, scoring 3 6s, more than enough to take down the Dino Squad. Rolling for initiative again, the Marines get a 5, the bugs get a 9. The gross-ass space bugs skitter forwards, using a second move action as their tactical action in what's known as a double move, trusting their size bonus and hit points to protect them against any threat on the board. The bug player wins initiative again, rolling a 5 against the Marines' 3. The bug player gets a double activation at the cost of awarding the Marine player an initiative balance point. Initiative balance points can be used at any time by a player who has them. Some of the actions can be used during their game piece's activation, and some on their opponents. Some are good for all games, and some are only useful in games involving certain scenarios or complications. The Missile Launcher Trooper is within melee range of the 2 dinosaurs. If he moves or shoots, they get a reaction attack against him. He cannot shoot if he moves, and cannot move far enough to escape the dinosaurs. So he's going to take one for the team and try to shoot the Marines. Wait, am I? Yes, you are. Oh, man. The reaction attacks happen first. The dinosaurs roll a 4 and a 6, more than they need to take down the trooper. The Marine is the last to move, and chooses to make an advance move to get a shot on the dinosaur without exposing himself to the gross-ass space bugs. The dino is in cover, but fails its cover save. a moot point as the Marine rolls a modified 0 and 2 for damage. Rolling for more dinos, zones 3, 4, and 6 get another 2 each. There must be some kind of nest near zone 4, as it has produced dinosaurs every turn. The dinosaurs in zone 3 deploy 3 BDD away from the 4-man Marine squad. The dino in the center of the board charges the lone Marine. The charge is successful, but before he can sink his teeth into the Marine's armor, the Marine uses his initiative balance point. The Marine uses the stand and deliver action, which allows it to make a ranged attack against the unit which has charged it. The Marine takes a shot, a 2 and a 5, enough to save the Marine from a vicious dino attack. The gross-ass space bugs are charged by 6 dinosaurs at once. 2 are taken down by reaction attacks due to the bug's superior size and thus superior reach. This allows the bugs to take down the dinos before the dinos can get within melee attack range. The dino's tank busting ability negates the bug's +1 size advantage, and their fearsome charge gives them a +1 to damage, so the dinos need to roll 3s. Rolling 8 dice, 5 damage total. When a unit contains game pieces with multiple hit points, the player controlling them must completely destroy one game piece before damaging another, so one bug goes down and another is reduced to 3 hit points. 2 more dinos charge the 4-man Marine squad, needing 4s, as their fearsome charge cancels out the extra armor 1 of the Marines, and 2 Marines who work in space won't be collecting their 401ks. This ends turn 3, with the dinosaurs, game pieces no player controls, in command of most of the board. Turn 4 begins with the Marine player deciding to bring in the big guns, the robot we built in the last video. The War Robot is an impressive build, with an autocannon for mid-range fighting, a rocket pod for long-range engagements, and a mechanical claw for up-close and personal work. The robot in this game is treated as a size category 2 game piece, giving it the same size category and hit point advantage as the gross-ass space bugs. The bug player rolls for their last unit, an 8-man squad of riflemen. Needing a 2+, they get it with a 3. The bug's 8-man rifle team is composed of the same riflemen as were in the machine gun and missile launcher teams. There are just no heavy weapons to back this team up. The War Robot ends up in deployment zone 1, and the 8-man rifle team ends up unsettlingly close in deployment zone 2. Rolling for initiative, the Marine player gets a 10, and the bug player gets a 5. The War Robot makes a move and attack action, allowing it to attack with every weapon that is in range. It attacks the dinosaurs with its autocannon, and the 8-man rifleman squad with its rocket pod. The War Robot is in range with its autocannon. It fires 4 dice for damage, plus 2 additional dice for being a size 2 game piece, making a 4 dice attack. Game pieces with a size category greater than 1 roll additional dice when making attacks, depending on the game piece's size category and the damage level of the attack. Particularly large game pieces can end up rolling considerably more bonus dice than the attack's base value. The robot needs to roll 4s for damage, as its +1 size category cancels out the dinosaur's extra armor level 1. It rolls 3 damage, more than enough to take down the 2 dinos. Firing the rocket pod directly, which it can out to range 10, the War Robot lands the burst slightly forward to avoid scattering off the board. It however rolls a 6 for scatter, meaning the attack will stay where it is. The rocket pod is a burst 2 weapon with a 2-inch burst radius, which encompasses most of the squad. The weapon does 2 dice of damage, +1 for a 2 dice attack at size category 2, +5 dice as 6 game pieces fall under the template, needing 3s, resulting in 6 damage. 6 of the 8 men under the template take 1 damage each and are pulled. The 8-man rifle squad is now significantly smaller. Rolling for initiative a second time, the bug player wins with a roll of 10. The gross-ass space bugs activate next, seeking vengeance against the multiple units of dinosaurs, which downed one of their number. The first bug kills its targets in close combat, the second bug kills its target in close combat. With that, the great Jurassic threat has been eliminated. For now. Why does this keep happening? The Marines win initiative and activate the 2-man squad. With no close combat attacks, they can only move away from the dinosaurs, provoking reaction attacks. The dinos need 5s. They only get the benefit of fearsome charge when they actually use the charge action. One Marine goes down with a 6, however. The Marine needs 5s and manages to drop one of the 2 dinosaurs. The Marines win initiative again, granting the bug player an initiative balance point. The other Marine advance moves into cover and fires on the last dinosaur. The dinosaur fails its cover save, but a modified 0 and 3 just won't cut it. The last 2 riflemen double move towards the objective. They then use a balance point to activate the ability Extra Hustle to travel an additional 2 BDD. Not too shabby. They could have advance moved and shot the War Robot, but with Extra Armor 2 and a +1 size bonus, the Rifleman would have needed to roll a 7 on a 6-sided dice, and that's just not happening. Surprisingly, no dinosaurs show up at the end of turn 4. They must have all arrived earlier. One dino on the board easily charges the last Marine from the second 4-man squad and takes him down. At the start of turn 5, the Marine player rolls for their final unit, a squad of 2 missile launcher troops, which they receive on a 6. The Bug player does not get to roll, as their entire army has entered the board, and mostly left it. Missile launcher Marines are armed similarly to the Bug missile troops, but are armored like other Marines. They can, however, move and fire their missile launchers. They deploy in Zone 2 with a perfect view of both the last rifle troopers and the gross-ass space bugs. Each side rolls initiative. The Marines 3 dice, the Bugs 2 dice, and the Marines win easily. The Marine player decides to activate the newly deployed missile launcher troops. They advance and put 1 shot into the Rifleman and 1 shot into the Bugs. The first shot scatters wide, hitting only one of the 2 squad members, but as they are a unit, enough points of damage can still kill both of them, but only 1-4 will not cut it. The Rifleman under the template dies, but his squad mate lives on. The other rocket also scatters the full BDD distance, striking one of the 2 Bugs. The missile launcher needs 4s, as its tank buster advantage cancels out the Bug's size advantage. A 2, 2 3s, and a 6 won't cut it though. The gross-ass space bug is wounded, but still kicking. Bug player wins the next initiative and activates the gross-ass space bugs. They make an advance move towards the objective. They then attempt to spit gross-ass acid at the last regular Marine who works in space. 1 bug is in range. The shot scatters 1/2 the game's BDD. The Marine fails their cover save, and the modified 4 and a 6 are more than enough. Bugs win the initiative again, giving the Marine player a balance point. The last Rifleman uses an advanced move to fire on the missile launcher Marines. A 6 on the dice, which would be a dead Marine. However, the Marine player has a balance point and chooses to use the Hunker Down ability, forcing the Bug player to re-roll their attack, which comes up as a 1. At the end of the turn, the Warbot activates. It makes a standard move and proceeds to use an attack action to fire both the rocket pod and the autocannon at the Bugs. The autocannon is in direct fire range, but the rocket pod must be fired indirectly. Indirect fire does not require line of sight. In addition to that, some weapons, like the Warbot's rocket pods, have had their range enhanced by the addition of the artillery fire ranged advantage, which increases the range of the weapon, but only when fired indirectly. To fire indirectly, determine the range between the attacking game piece and the targeted impact point, which in this case is 16 inches, which works out to be 16 BDDs. Consult the indirect fire table to determine how many scatter dice to roll. Roll that many dice and scatter the indirect shot that distance in BDDs. Ignore any dice which roll the same result. So a 3-die-6 scatter, which rolls a 3, a 5, and another 5, scatters 3 BDDs, not 13. In this case, we will roll 2-die-6 to determine the scatter distance. The rocket pod shot scatters 7 inches, putting the burst well out of range. Perhaps the autocannon will have better luck. The War Robot has to fire through cover, but that doesn't end up helping the space bugs. Needing 4s, the autocannon ends up doing 2 damage, enough to down the wounded space bug. For hostile flora and fauna rolls, dinosaurs show up out of position in Zone 5, and very much in position in Zone 2 to menace the missile launcher squad, a horrifying mirror of what happened to their human thrall equivalents. And with equally frightening similarity, the missile launcher troop falls to the Dino Menace. The last turn begins with the gross-ass space bugs winning the initiative. The last bug moves to block the War Robot from reaching the objective, and then spits gross-ass acid at it. It can place the template right in the center of the bot, and as the template can't scatter more than its own radius, the War Robot will be hit regardless of the scatter roll. The gross-ass space bug's +1 size bonus to attack is cancelled out by the War Robot's +1 size bonus to defense. The bug still needs to roll 6s due to the War Robot's extra armor level 2. No 6s here. The War Robot can't approach the objective without drawing a reaction attack from the gross-ass space bug, as the bug has a defining distance of 3 inches, and the War Robot only has a defining distance of 2 inches. But the War Robot is never one to back down from a challenge, and chooses to tank the reaction attack, trusting in its superior armor. Those 3s aren't enough for the bug to damage the bot, but the bot answers back with only 3 damage, not enough to take down the last gross-ass space bug. The last Rifleman moves forward to screen its gross-ass master. It shoots at the dinos, but fails to do damage. At the end of turn 6, more dinos show up in Zone 5, too far away to do anything. The dinosaurs near Zone 2 charge the riflemen and tear him to pieces. I regret nothing, except being delicious to dinosaurs. The other dino charges the war robot, but dies to the bot's reaction attack before it can do any damage. With that, the Marines win, 150 to 51 points, in a game dominated by no one but the dinosaurs. We hope you've enjoyed this first in what will be a series of battle reports featuring the exciting world of Toy Box Wars. Please feel free to comment below. In particular, if anything in the rules was unclear, please feel free to ask. Or if there are any topics you'd like to see covered in future games, feel free to make a request. If you're interested in picking up a copy of Toy Box Wars, it's for sale on IronTootsGaming.com, link in the description below. As you can see, Toy Box Wars offers you the freedom to use what you want, how you want, where you want. Thank you for joining us, and never stop playing.